Hey everybody, Casey here with Life Abstract Gaming, and today I wanted to talk about a movie series that wasn't based on a video game property, but seemed like it should have been, John Wick. And with John Wick Chapter 2 in theaters, this idea about a video game movie that doesn't have an actual video game is back on my mind. For anyone unfamiliar with John Wick, it's about an assassin who managed to retire from the underworld and settle down. The wife he did this for dies of an illness, and his only remaining companion, a puppy gifted to him by her, is killed during a home invasion to steal his car. This triggers an insane revenge run that brings John Wick out of retirement and takes down the Russian mafia that these belong to. The first John Wick has become one of my favorite movies, and I think the reason for that is how closely the experience mirrors a third-person or first-person shooter. The story's minimal and takes a backseat to an overwhelming vibe and style, like a lot of games that draw in an audience based primarily in game mechanics. John Wick hooks you with fast-paced combat, but keeps you by hinting at a mysterious world of assassins with their codes and rule sets thanks to the enigmatic Continental Hotel. You never get a full explanation of what the Continental is, or any of the characters found there. You just learn that there's history to this world, a history that seems to be far more interesting than a straightforward revenge plot, but it works because a player wants to be interested in the world but not so caught up learning about it that they don't get to play the actual game. Now, do keep in mind, I'm talking about a game that doesn't actually exist. But recently, a John Wick movie tie-in game called John Wick Chronicles has actually been made, for VR at that. It was created by Starbreeze Studios, and user reviews seem to suggest it's not very good, so rather I want to talk instead about the make-believe game that I feel the first John Wick movie would have been based on. Spoilers, of course, for the original John Wick. In the first movie, Viggo Tarasov, a Russian crime lord, tells his soon-to-be murdered son, Iosef, that John Wick asked to leave the organization, and so he gave him an impossible task that he actually completed. That event built the foundation of their current organization. The fictional John Wick game would have featured all of the groundwork laid for Tarasov, and would even include the subplot leading John to his wife Helen and his desire to quit. The impossible mission would be the finale of the game, likely a large-scale assault on a bigger crime organization and the murder of their leaders. If you paid close attention to John Wick 1, you'd notice tons of references to daisies. It's never stated outright, but Wick's wife likely loved the flowers as the bracelet he bought her and later carried after her death was adorned with them. And the dog he received from her was named Daisy, along with the dog tag picturing one. I can imagine the John Wick levels having hidden areas denoted by daisy imagery that would lead you to secret weapons, upgrades, or story details. Willem Dafoe plays Marcus, John's closest friend and a fellow assassin. He could fill the role of the voice in the ear, talking John through his missions, offering hints at what to do next, and possibly even narrating the story. Gameplay-wise, John Wick would clearly be all about guns. I think a third-person shooter would be a better fit than first, mainly to incorporate a close-quarters combat system, where John could disarm enemies or murder them with special animations. Some form of bullet time would likely need to be utilized to give the player the ability to scan a room of enemies and execute several in the manner that Wick does, similar maybe to the mark and execute feature in the game Splinter Cell Conviction. If anyone remembers from my Assassin's Creed movie video, this is the kind of off-center adaptation that a lot of game franchises looking to make movies should attempt. Instead of a direct adaptation, use the world to convey a mood and match the feel, but tell a different story. In my scenario, the first John Wick movie tells a direct sequel to the fake game's plot. I know that may be a little harder to do if the game franchise has multiple titles telling its story, but the movie adaptation needs to treat itself like it's part of that lineage in order to do justice to it, at least I feel. So, would you guys want to play the fake John Wick game I'm describing? Are you going to try out the actual John Wick VR game? Did you like the movies? And what other non-game movies do you think could have been based on the game? Let us know. We're listening.